there guys, my name is Brandon from Gearist.com and welcome to this episode of Ask Gearist. Before we get into the episode, don't forget that you guys can ask a question too by emailing info@gearist.com. Find us on any of our social media outlets or just leave a question in the comment section below of this video and we'll get it up as soon as we can. Today's question comes to us from Philip703 and Philip writes, how does stability factor in when choosing a trail shoe? I've noticed that there isn't a stability category much like there is with road shoes. That's actually a really interesting question, Philip, so thank you so much for asking. The first thing that we should talk about is what stability means and where it takes place when a shoe interacts with an unstable foot. Most of the time, what this means is that there's going to be some sort of a raised or shortened first metatarsal head. Now what that means is if you're looking at the bottom of your foot, which we see here, you can see the ball of the foot right underneath the big toe, right behind the big toe. Now, in the case of a shortened first metatarsal head, that basically is going to mean that the structure of that entire ball of the foot is shifted back a little bit. And when the weight shifts forward as you go through the gait cycle, there's nothing to support it there. There's no support structure, so the ankle, then the knee, and then the hip, basically up the kinetic chain, tends to come inward. That's considered pronating. Now, at the same time, you could have a raised first metatarsal head, which is basically going to do the exact same thing and have the exact same effect on the foot. Now, today, we're not going to get into all the biomechanics of the foot, but basically, this is where a stability shoe is meant to come in and play a part. What a stability shoe aims to do is on that medial side is to basically prop up the structure that is deficient or lacking in the foot. So you can see here in this shoe, you can see that there's kind of this grayer foam. Now, that grayer foam or different colored foam is meant to indicate foam with a higher durometer that's a little more firm, and it's going to basically provide support where that shoe or foot would initially collapse inward. The trouble with this in most stability shoes is that, as you can see, that foam ends behind the first metatarsal, so it doesn't actually effectively hold up the foot the way that it should. I personally, and most of us here at Gearist to be very honest, think that everybody pretty much for the most part should be in a neutral shoe. The reason for this is that your body is built a certain way, and your biomechanics are meant to compensate for those things down the kinetic chain. What happens is we go, oh well, my foot does this one thing where it pronates a little bit, so I'm going to add this stability shoe, and then I'm going to add an orthotic, which, by the way, a lot of orthotics stop behind the first metatarsal, so they don't effectively do much toward the end of stopping or slowing down pronation. Now, as to Philip's question, why you don't see this in trail shoes is because whether you're a pronator or a very neutral runner, a supinator like myself, which again does not matter, I run in all neutral shoes, whatever your foot does, when you're running on a trail, you tend to be much more up on your toes, on that forefoot, especially when going uphill and things like this. You're also in a widely varied terrain, and this actually kind of goes to prove my point that everyone could be in neutral shoes with no problem. And that is that when you're on this widely varied terrain, you tend to have soft hips, knees, and ankles, and you just tend to be very kind of springy because you know that your body and your brain is telling your body and vice versa, everything is working in concert to go, hey, Joe, Schmo, you need to be careful because you're stepping on uneven terrain or rocks or what have you. Now, if you're in that setup, you're very much in a very neutral, just athletic posture, and so stability is not necessary in that case. Of course, at the same time, there's also the fact that a lot of trail shoes, for instance, take this is the Bushido by La Sportiva, which we reviewed not too long ago. That shoe has a very stiff, kind of almost carbon fiber midsole shank. So a lot of the stability that would be taken care of by stability features like stability foam or an extended medial bridge, which also doesn't effectively do anything, what's going to happen in the shoe like this is that the material of the midsole is basically really going to stiffen up the shoe, and it's not such a factor. But again, I personally have been in a lot of very minimal trail shoes and don't have any problems. Again, largely that is because you're in a much more athletic posture. Thanks so much to Philip for the great question. Now, if you guys have any questions, don't forget to leave those questions in the comment section below or email us at info@gearist.com or click right over here on any of our social outlets and let us know via social media what your questions are. We'd be happy to answer them on the show. As always, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can click that YouTube button right over there. And don't forget to click on over and visit Gearist.com. That's where all our reviews live, all our videos live, and all that kind of stuff. Again, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to let us know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.